Trial is a pretty famous episode of Batman the Animated Series where he's judged for his responsibility in creating his rogues. The premise infers a pretty serious psychological analysis of Batman's guilt and possibly examine the nuances of his contradictory legal position, but it's actually a pretty goofy episode. It's a great one, but one where such interpretation of responsibility is presented as an intrusion. The main character of the episode isn't Batman, it's Janet, the current Gotham DA who represents this critical position.
And I say he's a drug the city keeps taking to avoid facing reality.
She refused to believe Batman's the law's best weapon on crime, despite old Jimbo's protests, because everything he does, she's already in the middle of.
Very cute, mister.
Like averting a gang war. Her position is not grounded in Batman's efficiency, but in causality. She presumes Batman is the cause of the criminals Gotham is tormented with, which is actually initially backed up in the opening. In Ivy's trial, she's returned to Arkham after a hearing due to Batman's lack of legal legitimacy. So she smiles, but the smile is lost as she re-enters her old cell again. A cycle of relief turned to resentment, then rebellious glee is presented here due to the lack of appropriate punishment, all because Batman doesn't wear a badge. However, this presumption also comes from misplaced sympathy. It's sad that these criminals are stuck in a loop, but they've also all refused to accept their own responsibility in stopping with the antisocial behaviour. And that's precisely what Janet learns. The real characters on trial here isn't actually Batman. He himself never takes the situation seriously, or even has an arc. He's consistently confident in his position.
Still, even you have to admit, Batman's come through now and then.
And during the trial, he clearly could escape. He's just in a straitjacket and lock. Justice League even makes fun of this.
I could have escaped any time, but I thought I'd stick around to keep an eye on you clowns.
He's instead sighing with boredom, because he's waiting for old Jimbo to rescue him, and for an opportunity to attack.
Whatever.
As a result, the whole premise becomes more as a joke, to the extent that the Joker is literally the judge, as opposed to someone like Two-Face. The real people on trial are the villains. The people's argument is that they're all freaks and monsters because Batman made them that way.
And who made us this way? Batman! Yeah!
Then Janet's mean of dismantling this proposition, and also her arc, is the realization that they're all the source of their own undoing, and they're all refusing to take accountability of their actions. In Witness 1, Mad Hatter committed crimes before Batman.
You could have respected her wishes and left her alone.
I'd have killed her first!
In Witness 2, Janet argues Harley wasn't turned by Batman but by the Joker, and even turns her against him when she revealed that he had turned on her to get less time in prison. Witness 3 is Ivy, and Janet identifies her motives aren't even related to Batman, but towards her preference of plants over people, and even turns her against Joker by the fact that he himself kills plants for his riz. The framing changes so effectively that Janet's entire position switches to an opposition of view that Batman is not only innocent, because everyone would have been around anyways, but they created Batman.
Oh, the gimmicks might be different, but you'd all be out there in some form or another bringing misery to Gotham. The truth is, you created him.
An argument which not only completes her arc, but is also successful in actually convincing all the villains too. The court even deems Batman is innocent. But then the Joker says they're all rotten anyways. They're now going to waste him anyways, and Batman and Janet is dragged out as the crowd cheers on.
And as we are so rotten, vile, and depraved, we're going to waste you anyway.
This twist has two connotations that really fascinated me. First, there's like a metatextual reading. Batman is a fundamentally ridiculous character if you apply any realistic pressures onto him, because he fights criminals dressed as a bat, so he only works in harmony with exaggerated conditions, as I've mentioned before. This episode is effectively that argument. It is futile to put the character on trial for his actions in isolation of his own mythology, in isolation of his own environment, because he can only exist in a playground-like world of cops and robbers, where his role can be made sense of in a performative symbiosis with others. There would be no Batman if there's no supercriminals, both influencing each other, both competing, and both needing each other to exist. This is why Janet's perspective was presented as an intrusion in the beginning. It doesn't fit with the metaphysical rules of Batman. The second connotation is that the systems of justice in Gotham is now a fantasy. There are criminals who Batman catch, but they can't go to prison because of him too, so he must be the source of all of this problem.
But look at the lunatic fringe he's created. The Joker, Two-Face, Poison Ivy, and the rest. Batman's responsible for every one of them.
This link is easier to live with than the idea that the world is indifferent, and that there's so much out of our control that there are many reasons why these serial killers and kidnappers individually chose to become who they are, and Batman is unfortunately the most efficient means of apprehending them, even though it's unlawful. Thus, it can be interpreted that Joker's straight up cheating puts this fantasy of inventing the right cause or explanation to feel good on display.
I used to believe Batman was responsible for you people. But now I see nearly everyone here would have ended up exactly the same.
Batman is then forcefully strapped. He's about to be unmasked before he's killed, but Janet took a batarang with her, so she throws it into the dark, and all of a sudden, it's pitch black. And Batman is gone. She has put her faith in him now, and they think he's ran away. But he declares,
Who says I'm leaving?
he uses his Arkham Predator skills to take out Harley, then his free flow combat to beat up Croc. Batman grabs Janet to escape. They're chased by the maddening crowd, but they slip, and then is cornered. Batman beats some ass and escapes, while an army of police officers surround everyone, restoring order. Joker lassos Batman, but gets beaten up anyways. Janet now understands Batman, but also affirms that she'll still continue working to make the city not need him, while Batman agrees.
Me too.
They both can hope that someday Gotham will be free of this playground game. But the tragedy is, on the big picture of the DCAU, we know it won't.
Staring at the wall, I know you really love the color. We picked it out over the phone. Remember what you said, but I could never tell the meaning. I try to see what I have been shown. Staring at the pictures now, I know they try to show me. I cannot see, but God knows I try. Believer of the mysteries, I try to find a way not to cry.
Alright, so this was the trial episode analysis. I've been meaning to do this for quite a while, but I didn't really know where to fit in my schedule, and then I was kind of like, oh well, I've not made a Batman anime series video in a while, so I might as well make it now. I'm hoping to make some sort of DCAU video, sort of every 2 to 3 videos, maybe 4, depending on how it feels, which means the Martian Manhunter and Mercy video is on the pipeline. I also plan on doing a Leonardo 2003 TMNT character analysis, because someone suggested on Patreon, and I really thought that was a awesome idea. I'm also working on a video on The Dark Knight Rises, which will be an extension of the comparing Batman analysis video that I did a couple of weeks ago. There's also a bunch of Superman videos I really want to do, like the Dick Donner Superman films. That would be pretty cool. Anyways, special thanks to everyone on Patreon. You guys rule, and because of you guys, I now feel confident enough to work on Spider-Man Retrospective Part 6, was it? It's gonna be a long one, guys. It's gonna touch on both the Jerry Conway stuff and then into the Line Wein stuff. And yeah, it's a lot of comic books.
And you know, you mustn't take it personally.